What's going on, people? What's going on? Let me get a one in the chat if you guys can see me, if you can hear me. If everything sounds good, let a player know. I don't see anything yet, so I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous. Give me that one. Oh, okay. I see some ones in the chat. Popping off, popping off. Got the ones ripping and rolling. Let me throw these down real quick. Guys, hey everybody, hey everybody. What's going on? Welcome to the show. It's My Take on Reality with the late night after show party. We are going to be talking about some sister wives and some foolishness that took place on the camera, on the screens, in all our respective places. Now, please keep in mind, do not try this stuff at home. These people are trained professionals. So do not try this at home. It could lead to divorce or breaking up of families. All right. Make sure you guys hit that like button on your way in. That way we can just take care of that business. Really helps the channel out. Oh, wow, man. Tonight's show was something else. Okay, now to keep in mind, we've had like some crazy times watching the show. And just as a heads up, tonight I'm going to try to limit this particular show, to 2 hours. I got a lot of stuff I got to do tomorrow, so I won't be able to rock out till 5 o'clock. Plus, it kind of kills the folks on the rewatch crew, because that 5 hour lives is a lot. That is a lot. All right, so yeah, we're going to rock it out for 2 hours, which means that I'm going to try to keep my observations on tonight's episode relatively short, but I will be opening up the phone lines per usual. The only thing I ask is that when you guys come into the phone lines, give me like a point, maybe like a hot take on something you saw or something you observed or what your mindset is as far as it's concerned, and we're going to try to keep it rolling. I want to try to get in as many people as possible in that time frame, so don't be insulted if I have to kind of move along. So it is what it is. All right. Kit Kat Monroe. Yeah, they talked about the move from they talked about the move from Utah to Vegas. Christine's out there riding with David. Oh, I remember last time we was on this road, we was trying to escape Utah, and it was amazing. If only God had gave us symbols or some kind of sign that we're making a mistake. Y'all are blown out tires. Was not a sign. Like tires blowing up, motors falling out of cars, like the cars on the tires blew out, or the tires on the cars blew out, and the tires on the trailer blew out. Then they were like the places were closing because they left so late. And if we keep in mind part of the reason why they left as late as they did is because Robin had insisted that she wanted to have a birthday party for Dayton before they went to Las Vegas. So once again, another thing we can kind of put on Robin. Congratulations. And of course, they was out there riding along on them baloney skin tires, them blow 'em ups. So I don't know what the hell they was thinking about. But Cody, at least he had his sports car, which was ridiculous too, because he had Robin driving a luxury sports car, and even that bad boy was riding around on tires that didn't make sense. And one of the things with like having those kind of cars, in fairness, is if you get an expensive car, part of the maintenance, or at least the foo-foo-ness of having that car, what makes that car so foo-foo, is the fact that you can afford to fix it, afford to keep up with the maintenance. It doesn't make sense for you to go out and buy an expensive car and you can't afford to keep damn tires on the thing. So just my two. We got a little shout out from Michelle Woods. Where's my thing? There we go. Michelle Woods and the house of the $9.99 super chat. When Cody said, I don't want to be unfair to Janelle and Mary, I just don't want to deal with them. Deal with it. Cody, love to break this to you, but they're also being unfair. Oh, we gonna be unfair together. And I say that, Michelle, I would totally be in a situation where, oh, we totally gonna be unfair together. I've always taken a position that in a former life, story time. In a former life, I worked in litigation, okay, professionally. That was what I did, corporate. I worked in litigation. And I never like to say that a court case is 100% or it's a slam dunk or it's going to be easy. This is something you should do. The thing is that when you do any type of litigation, litigation is hell and it could go either way. And that's just how it works. It could go either way. So, with that being said, when you go and you start talking to attorneys, that is the first step to you waging war. And yeah, it's gonna be so when I go talk to my attorney, I don't want my attorney down there trying to make no friends. I want my attorney down there trying to break relationships and throw people up in the trees. That's the guy I'm hiring. I'm hiring that knuckle dragger that's gonna go in there and tear shit to pieces. I don't have to like you. We don't have to be friends. I don't care if you like anybody in this damn place. But when I leave, I want my attorney to go in there like Attila the Hun. Okay. you know, I don't understand. Like Mary is still kind of for whatever reason. I mean, but we can probably come up with like lists upon lists upon lists of why Mary is doing what she's doing and why she's trying to appeal to Cody and trying to be on Cody's good side and try to be Cody's friend. So she's scared to go get an attorney. Look, Janelle is giving Mary the hookup. Okay. And I say Janelle's giving her the hookup on a couple fronts because one, Janelle is telling Mary, because tonight we saw Janelle tell Mary, I hope you getting a lawyer because I got a lawyer. Okay. Now that is a hookup on two fronts. First front, she's telling her, Janelle saying to Mary, you need to get yourself some legal representation. Okay, Mary, you need to get yourself an attorney to look out for your best interests. Then she said, I'm going to get somebody to look out for my best interest. Now, the hookup number two was she took it out of the realm of a possibility or a theory by saying, Mary, I have an attorney and I'm forwarding my information to my attorney. Now, you have to keep in mind that when you get an attorney, there aren't as much friends as there are interests, shared interests. Okay. When an attorney is representing Janelle, an attorney is clearly going to say, out of professional responsibility, I can't represent you and Mary. Just like when Cody went down and he was talking to that attorney way back when, I went down, talked to my attorney, and I told him about the land. And he said we own gold mines. This is way back when they first got to Arizona. He said he went out and talked to an attorney, and the attorney told him how valuable Coyote Pass was. That's Cody's attorney. At best, is Cody and Robin's attorney. That attorney cannot represent Janelle, Christine, or Mary because they have conflicts of interest. He can't properly represent them under his canons of ethics. He'll fuck around and get disbarred if he tried to do some shit like that. He can't represent all of them because they all have conflicting interests. It might not be in Janelle and Christine and Mary's best interest to let Cody and Robin have all the pieces of land. That's not in their best interest. It's not in their best interest to let Cody decide what's going to happen with the land by himself. So that's a separate thing. So like same, Janelle is basically telling Mary, I have an attorney, just so we're clear, my attorney is representing me and my interests. You need to go get yours. You know what I mean? Oh, can I borrow this? No, my sister, you need to get your own. Okay? And that's what she needs to do. Now, the hookup is why I say it's the hookup is because Janelle could have walked her happy ass into an attorney's office and just ambushed the hell out of everybody with professional representation. And she could have surprised them. Oh yeah, we gonna meet on Saturday. Okay, let's meet down Cody Pass. We gonna have a little barbecue and stuff. Yeah, we could talk about the land. All of them meet down there. All of a sudden, Janelle don't show up. Some dude come riding up on a little moped, and he's the Mary, Robin, Cody, and Cody be standing there. Yeah, what's the problem is? And he had everybody a damn envelope with their subpoena papers. You've been served, and he ride his ass off of Cody Pass. Welcome to the lawsuit, players. This is your invitation. And that's just the way it works. So I think that, again, Janelle is being forthright with it. She's being very straight up as far as I'm getting representation. This is what I'm doing. You need to get you some too. And let's be honest. Let's be fair. Strategically, Janelle does need Mary to a point, because Mary is going to be the person who is going to corroborate a lot of the things that Janelle is going to say with regard to that land and that property. Now, once again, this gets into the thing. Let me give Michelle Woods a little some before we get too far afield, because I definitely want to acknowledge Michelle. Michelle's one of the OGs of the channel. Michelle's one of the OGs, triple OGs. Let's give Michelle a little something. Michelle, this is for you. All right, Michelle. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of, I'm a huge fan, especially when you're dealing with family and friends. I've said this before on the channel. I will say this to the end of my days. When you get involved in any type of business relationship, and when I say business relationship, what I'm referring to is anything that requires substantive money exchange or anything that puts you in any financial liability. Let me say that one more again, because there is a difference. Anything that is huge financial investment, a large financial investment, if you're giving somebody help, huge could be relative to, let's put it this way. If you're giving somebody $500 for something, even if it's like a little bit of money, $20, or you're signing your name to a document, this is where I talk about liability purposes. You sign your name to a document saying that you're part owner. You sign your name to a document co-signing for somebody. You sign your name to a document so that your name appears on the land too. Then you want to make sure that everything that you have with regard to that business transaction is written down and extremely clear as to who's responsible for what. And in the event of the dissolution of this particular union, merger, or whatever the case may be, business venture, whatever, family, etc., we know exactly who's going to get what in the event that this disappears. And to me, that just makes sense, especially when everybody's getting along and everybody's smiling, clapping backs, and shaking hands, hugging each other, kissing each other's asses. That's the time for you to come up with a fair distribution of property. Because if things go wrong, all of a sudden everybody got fucking amnesia. Nobody remembers nothing. What? What? I was going to pay the insurance. That land out there, let me tell you something, a little something about Cody Pass. That land out there is a mess. Okay? There's all kinds of hazards on that property. The crazy thing about properties like that, you can post the no trespassing signs and all that craziness, but when it comes to like children and all that kind of thing, you have basically a water source there that doesn't have a fence around it. If a kid somehow gets out there on Cody Pass and falls in that lake, or that, I'm sorry, it's not a lake. What am I talking about? I'm falling into the storyline of this show. If they fall into that sewer that you call a pond, and something were to happen, unfortunate was to happen to that child, Everybody whose name is on those pieces of property, meaning that piece of property where Cody and Robin's name appears, where Cody, Mary, and Janelle's name appears on the other property because the pond goes into that too. Everybody involved there, which is pretty much everybody, would all be liable. And that's a potential property liability lawsuit. So you would have to keep that in mind. So it's not just a matter of maintaining a property. You also want to have the proper insurances on those properties. You want to have fencing around any type of water that exists on a property. And that's just, just with the way things work out, because I forget the term they use for children. It's like having a swimming pool. If you have a swimming pool in the back of your house, you have to have it fenced off. Because if you don't, you could have signs all over the place. Do not come on my property. Dog, adult males can make it to the fence line in 3 seconds. Dog can make it there in 0.5, and he love eating asses. Like, you could have that written on your property. But then somebody get on your property and they get bit by your dog, they suing you. Somebody a little kid go onto your property, young person go on your property and drown in your pool, they're suing you. Okay? And this isn't a thing where, oh, well, you could definitely win that lawsuit. Here's the thing. And this is why I say lawsuits are war. Here's the thing. Lawsuits cost money. Lawsuits ain't free. So if somebody goes on to County Pass, they get hurt, they file a lawsuit, you have to hire an attorney to defend that lawsuit. You have to hire an attorney to answer that pleading. When they put that motion in and you guys are just going back and forth doing motion practice, they have entitlement to discovery. You have to figure out how to do the motion practice, the responses. You have to figure out how to answer discovery, whether you're going to answer for discovery, whether you're going to file for a directed verdict, whether you're going to try to get the case kicked or not, and what grounds you'll get the case kicked, when it's an appropriate time to file that paperwork. There's a correct form in which you have to file the paperwork in. So it's not like you can just sit down and be like, I don't want this case to go forward. It's stupid. And the judge is going to look at it and say, yeah, that's stupid. That don't make no sense. And then kick the case. Okay, so that's going to cost money. And you could be in the tens of thousands of dollars and nothing come of the case. But you just set money on fire. So this is why I'm saying, like, you want to have everything nailed down as to what's going on. And as I'm listening to them talk about it, it doesn't sound like they have a whole lot of plans. It just sounds like they're so focused on paying for the property that I don't know if they have any of these other facilities in play. Like as far as like the insurances and things of that nature and protections. Because if you look around County Pass, there are houses out there. So there's a possibility that there are kids out there. I have on my next to my property, partly on my property, there's like a little offshoot for rainwater, right? And the neighbor kids down the street, I caught them in there a couple times. I had to fence that shit off. And I had to go down and talk to their parents. Because what I don't want is for they asses to come down there and be floating face down in that damn creek out to the side of the house. And then, you know what I mean? And something unfortunate happened that could have been prevented. 1, 2, I also have to look out for the protection of my house and my household and my financial protections. Because if something were to happen to them, they got me over the barrel. You know, and even if I win, my insurance is going up for sure. I'm going to be paying out money for attorneys for sure. And that's all money you don't want to pay. So like insurance is very important. Like there's a lot of things that you want to have in place. Let me see. Let me get to some of these super charts. And then we're going to get into some of this thing. Like I said, we're going to do the 2 hours and then we're going to roll through with the calls. You guys could think like maybe 1 or 2 points, and then we're just going to keep it rolling as far as the calls are concerned. But Big Michelle came in through first, Michelle Woods. Then YouTube is my time machine with the $5 super chat. Did you catch Robin confirm that her mom was a side chick? Right? Didn't sound like polygamy to me. Well, the face of polygamy is very different in how it's conducted. Well, for those who don't know, or maybe didn't catch it, Robin had basically said that her mom was friends with her stepdad's wife, right? That's how they came in contact with Senior George. I think his name was George. So they were friends with him, and he was uncle first. Like, he was Uncle George, I think his name was. And then all of a sudden, mom's hanging out with the friend, and they decide that Mom Dukes is going to get added to the family. Now, all of a sudden, he's spending the weekends over at Robin's house, and he's spending Monday through, I guess, Friday over at his wife's house, essentially. So that's what YouTube's My Time Machine is saying, that she basically the side chick. And that's how they were able to maintain that honeymoon-like experience throughout most of their relationship, because that's the side chick experience. That's the benefit of being a side chick. The jacked up part about being a side chick, let's keep it all the way a stack. Let's talk about it for a minute. Being a side chick, being the dude on the side, okay? When you are those types of folks, your relationship is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to be that side chick, that side person, from the respect of you don't have any responsibilities. Okay? If the person you're dating, you're the side chick, the person that you're dating, money start coming up short, that's between him and his wife. They got to figure that out. He can't make his rent. He can't pay his mortgage. That's between him and his wife. The only way it affects you is if he's paying your mortgage. Okay. Side dude, she have a problem at work. She can go home and talk to her husband about that problem at work. That's not your job. Okay. You the side dude. You there for the fun, the relaxation. You there for the good times. You there for the bang 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 boom. That's what you there for. Okay. Now, what's the tremendous downside? The initial downside for me would be if something were to happen to you as the side person, I ride motorcycles. If I'm a side dude and I get in an accident on my motorcycle, break my leg, my wife would come visit me in the hospital. When I was a young dude, if I fell off a bike and I got hurt, girlfriend come visit me in the hospital. You a side person, they not coming. They can't come visit you in the hospital. And if they do come visit you, they just stop through on their way to dropping the kids off or whatever the case may be. And don't find yourself in a situation where you can't do the things you used to do, which made you a fun side person. Because if you can no longer do those things that you used to do, you can't swing it like you used to, you done. You getting fired. Because ultimately, as a side person, you have to recognize the first rule. There is no loyalty in this game. Okay? You're already breaking loyalty rules because in most cases, the other person doesn't know anything about you. So the person you're messing with doesn't have loyalty to the people they should be loyal to. So clearly you can't expect them to be loyal to you, especially if you can't do anything for them. So, that it sounds like this is one of them situations where you're trying to put lipstick on a pig. You're trying to dress it up by making it sound like, oh, my dad and my mom used to have a honeymoon relationship. No, your mom used to get, she used to get tossed up. Like, it is what it is. Your mom belonged to the streets. Okay. It is what it is. And you romanticize it, and maybe it's normalized because it's how you grew up. It's what you saw when you came up. But I'm just telling you that for most people, your mom belonged to the streets. Okay. They used to come by on the weekend, knock off Saturday and Sunday. You know what I mean? So Friday, Saturday night, he used to bang bang boogie. Sunday, he back on the road, getting ready to head over to his wife's house. because he got to go back to his response. He got to go back to his real life with his real family. And there's a point where that shit kind of hurt a little bit too. But YouTube is my time machine. Let me give you a little something, something. Thank you so much. YouTube is my time machine. All right, all right. Oh, Brittney, not Brittney. What's going on? $4.99 super chat. Brittney, not Brittney with the fiance. I think Cody used the family pot to pay off that solo lot of land that he sure Robin just so happened to be on. Yeah. That he sure that he and Robin just so happened to be on. Yeah. I don't know. The only land that could possibly be is the one that's all the way on the end, where it's just Cody and Robin. That was the only piece of property that they owned independent of everybody else. So that didn't make any sense. I would have to check my man's math. I think his accounting is jacked up on that. So he's talking about he owns like oh yeah, I paid for that all by myself. But you can't be dipping, and this is why I don't like the way they did their money. Because there's no accountability, and there's no accounting for where the money was going and who was spending what and what it was being spent on. Like, you just taking major withdrawals from a family account, like that's embezzlement. Okay, especially if you're trying to run the family like a business, that shit is embezzlement. You don't get to just take money out and just do whatever you want to do with it. Okay, I've had corporate cards. I've had corporate accounts where you could do stuff like you could pull money and get petty cash and this, that, and other. You just can't spend money however you want. You know what I mean? I feel like going on vacation this year. I'm gonna just go ahead and put some money down on it. The boss want me to have a good time, get totally relaxed, so I can come back, and that's not how that works. So, like Cody would, the thing that's smart about how Janelle is going about it. Like, I see where her attorney is coming from with regard to you know, making sure that they get the documents together so they can start looking them up to see what they have and where the money was coming from and what was promised and how much was being spent on what. I agree with that, and I think that that's a very good tack for them to take. I agree. I see the strategy. I just think that ultimately, and this is just me being as honest as I possibly can, ultimately, it's going to be an uphill battle because they have their names listed the way they are on the property. And there's going to have to be certain concessions. And by concessions, I mean like sworn statement concessions, under oath concessions, deposition concessions, not, conversations on a TV show. Like, they're going to really need, because the legal document is a tremendous obstacle for them to overcome. So, like the thing with Cody saying that he took it. Well, I used my money to purchase that one plot, and that's me and Robin's land because I used my money independent of the family. But didn't you owe the family money from help you buy your house? Didn't you owe the family money from, like, what are we talking about? And that's where, like, this whole jumble of like finances, this could get messy. And on one hand, Janelle's attorney's motive very well may be, let's get as much information as possible to show that Cody was using this money inappropriately or using this money willy-nilly, or he was taking it out and using it for other things than just family expenses, or more to the point, more directly, agreed expenses, because that's going to be a pivotal thing. Like, if you set up an account and the account was specifically set up to pay for, say, rent, or it was specifically set up to pay for insurance or cars or transportation or car related expenses, utilities, and that's all that money was supposed to be used for, and that was the agreement, then you may be able to crack some seals, because I think that Cody was using that as kind of his personal bank account. With all that being said, I think that Cody's, and I'd love to hear from attorneys or whatever, but I also think that Cody's attorney's job from that perspective would be to try to jumble as much as possible to create frustration in the courts, to where they just throw their hands up and say, to hell with it, I'm not going through all these documents. It is what it is. Screw it. It's too much. The family this is what the family did. The money was an account. It was a bank account. It wasn't anything that was supposed to go towards anything. It didn't really have a purpose. They understood that the money was being used and they didn't have an issue with it. So I'm just going to let it stand. That's where I think his attorney is going to come at, like what tactic they would use. So we'll see. We'll see how it unfolds. But let me give Brittney, one of our super moderators, SuperMods, a little something, something. Sassy Experience $5 super chat. Don't understand why Mary and Janelle cut checks for Cody Pass without having a written agreement. Thank you. Thank you. If you knew early on, I think Mary had said that she was too trusting with Cody. But when you got out there to sign that check over, technically Mary was still trusting. She still thought she had a friend. And I think she started recognizing she didn't have a friend, not because Cody started talking about screwing her over, but I think it was because he wasn't excited about her European trip. And he didn't give a shit what she was talking about, and demonstrated that he didn't care what she had to say. So after that, she should have insisted. And my thing was, even when I heard them talking about it, my whole thing was, have them make the changes to the title before you hand over a nickel, conditional on the fact that we're going to pay this property off. Everybody's name is on every piece of property. And if he wants to pull that bullshit about, I paid this all by myself and I put my money on, we can have that conversation before I pay all of it off. Okay, because at that point you have far more leverage than you do now. And part of where I was even coming from before with Cody's attorney, I'm sure I'd be willing to bet a dime to a box of donuts that they're my full limit of $1, my betting limit of $1. I'd be willing to bet my full dollar that Cody is going to argue, or his attorney's going to argue, if there was a problem with that money or their names being where they were or the property being divided as it is, why would they pay the property off? And you could, because they didn't want to lose it. But they knew what the property was. They never never insisted that he change the title, that they meet at the title office. We would have did the payment stuff at the title office, as far as I'm concerned. Come on out, right? Cody and Robin, come on out to my house. We'll sit around the table. No, fuck that. I'm not coming to your house. We're going to meet at the title office. I'll see you there Monday morning. We're going to meet at the Register of Deeds office, and we're going to change. We're going to retitle everything. Or if you can't retitle it at that moment because it hasn't quite paid off, which is possible. Now I'm thinking about it. You can't retitle it at the moment. You have them sign receipts, which basically state that they're going to retitle all the property under your name because of that contribution. You had them over because they weren't trying to lose the property. They talked a lot of shit, but they weren't trying to lose the property. So you could have forced Cody to do it. Now he can get fancy because he feel like he win it. But I don't know. I don't know. I 100% agree, Sass. All right. Tanya Smith, $5 super chat. I was at Cody Pass on Tuesday. There are houses a bicycle ride away. The McMansion was just around the corner. Christine's old house was a mile. Yeah, like the idea that I'm not 100% certain that Cowdy Pass was 100% a real thing, or if it was just merely a storyline. Because Cowdy Pass in itself doesn't make any sense. Cody is talking about, I think that I want to keep Cowdy Pass. I want to have Cowdy Pass because we could get together as a family and play in nature. And all Cowdy Pass is to him right now is basically a very expensive private park. That's all it is. It's a private park. And Cody, there are places that, us brokies go, the poors, if we want to experience nature. And we don't have a tremendous amount of property. We go to these places called parks, national parks or state parks that provide not only like trails and you go out there and skip rocks on the lakes and rivers, have a good old time. The park benches, you can get some places can be designated for cooking out. It's amazing. You should look into that. But this is just a waste of money. Like, it's a waste of money because one of the key things with Cowdy Pass, if you really think about it, he's talking about, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to save the money. Maybe we'll just build a house here. If you don't have the money to buy these women out, to give them the money to buy them out, or to pay off your share to pay the property off, you can't pay the property off because you don't have your share of the money. If you don't have that, how the hell you going to come up with development costs? You going to come up with utility costs, running utilities to the property, then developing the land, remediation, developing so that you can actually build on the property, and then building costs for the properties, which would include not only materials, hiring contractors, but you're also talking about zoning costs. You're talking about hiring architects. You're talking about having the ground surveyed and all that other stuff. All kinds of stuff goes into developing land. It's not you just go out and throw a house up. This this ain't little house on a prairie, motherfucker. You can't just go out and throw a loud cabin up somewhere because it feels good and you got plenty of trees around. That's not how it works. If you build something in the way most places work, like in my town, if you build something, if I went downstairs in my house in my basement and I started finishing my basement, I have an unfinished basement. I finished my basement, right? Had pinball machines and theater and all kinds of craziness down there. Gym, all kinds of crazy stuff down there. I finished it off, a little boxing area. My town, if they've got wind of it, they could show up and make me tear that shit down. Tear it all down. I put a deck on the back of my house. I got to have people come out. I got to put in a zoning application. I got to have people come out and inspect the area. They got to inspect the plans. The plans have to be approved. Then during the course of the time when my deck is being constructed, the construction person or the contractor who's going to take the job has to provide his licensing and insurance to my township so that way they can approve all that too. Then when they start building on the property and they put a deck on the back of the house, all of a sudden the township is showing up every few days to make sure that it's going up properly. They're using the right materials. Everything is the right size. The feet that they're using are proper. The concrete things are all properly measured, and they're using the right type of wood, the right treated wood, and all that kind of stuff. Or if you're using some kind of plastics or whatever, they're making sure that all of it's treated properly so it doesn't crack or break or bend. It's a big thing. And this is just additions onto an already existing property. Building a house, forget about it. You are not getting away with, you're going to cut some corners because you know a guy. That's not a thing. You build that little rickety ass house, they're gonna make you tear it down. Big dumbo. So yeah. So the fact that let me ask you this, Tanya. Have they done anything on Coyote Pass? Have they moved the trailers? Have they moved the trailers? And that's what I was saying too, like with the houses being a bicycle ride away. You know who ride bikes a lot? Kids. And that water, that makes me nervous. You know, kids go in there and get sick. That ground with the prairie dogs out there being sick and jacking the dirt up and stuff. All I see is liability, liability, liability. Right now, there's a plaintiff's attorney rubbing his hands like a, whew, you know what I mean? 'Cause they love that kind of news. They love that kind of news like a fat kid love cake, boy. They be looking at that like, oh. And he did what? And how much do they get paid per episode? Or they just got a raise, you say? Oh. And let's see, Janelle just bought Tired of Farms. Christine, well, she's not a part of that. She's not part of it anymore. So he's probably cussing that. But then you got Robin and Cody. They just bought a $2 million house. Then Mary, she has another property. So it's not like that's another big thing. Like when you talk about litigation, like there's a couple points. There's a couple points that lawyers like to look at. First thing they like to look at is they want to see if they have a case. Is there a case there? Was there injury? What does the case and the injury look like? You know, and that way they can kind of come up with damages, like an idea of what the damages pool is going to look like. There's two types of damages. There's compensatory damages where you get hurt, you miss work, you have to come out of your pocket for medical, that kind of thing. So you're going to be compensated for the loss of that thing, right? Then, of course, you have the big money tickets, which is punitive. Punitive is where the big money comes in. That's where people get punished. So, for instance, Robin went out and she was riding the ATV and she did the ramp jump coming out the little pool pond or whatever. And she did the ramp jump and she landed on a pile of rocks. So at that point, Robin and Cody were both aware, two owners were both aware about the hazards of that particular part of their property. The question is, if some kid out there doing the same damn thing, trespassing, doing the same thing, riding his little ATV or his BMX or his motocross bike, does that same jump on that property and gets hurt, and they can pay. That's the big thing, right? So you have liability, you have injury, prospect of them being able to get some money, you have the injury, then you have the ability to pay. Now, if they don't have an ability to pay, like if they were truly broke, then attorneys be like, well, you know, they wrong all day, but I ain't gonna get paid for it. But if they look like they can pay, Robin and Cody, $2.1 million house, $1.7 million house sold. Janelle, was it a part owner of 159 acres down in North Carolina. Mary owns a house in Padawan. I keep saying that. Jedi, yes, Jedi. Home in Parawan. Makes a decent amount of money as far as her income tax and stuff, or her businesses are concerned. Like there's money to be had there. So they need to get rid of that property. If you guys aren't going to do anything with that property, you aren't going to secure that property, you aren't going to take care of that property, you need to get rid of that property because all I see is just liability sitting out there. It's just straight up liability. You're just losing money. So you're going to be paying taxes, property taxes on land that you're not doing anything with, can't do anything with. Then you're going to run the risk of somebody going out there getting hurt on the land that you're not even, like Janelle's not in the state, Mary's not in the state, Cody and Robin, They basically just come down, use it for like free use park or whatever. Like I wouldn't trust it. I just wouldn't trust it. So I mean, call me crazy, but thank you so much, Tanya. Let me give you a little something, something. Kathy Mosley, $5 super chat. If I was marrying Janelle, I would be having truckloads of manure dropped around the picnic tables. Yeah, you know what? I'm surprised those tables, as much as Robin supposedly cared about them tables, I'm surprised they're in such poor disrepair. Like those tables were dried out. They were dried out. Like really what they need to do is like, especially looking at the bottom of the table splintering and stuff, they really need to try to cap them. So you want to put sand them down real good. You want to put like some kind of finishing on it, some kind of protective coat. Where if you're putting paint, if you're gonna paint it, you can paint it. If you want to put lacquer on it or whatever the case may be, but I might even go as far as get some plastic caps to go on the bottom feet of the tables because they're in the ground and they're soaking up all that. When the ground gets wet, they're soaking up all that water, and then they dry out and get wet. They dry out, then that causes like wood is just it's a sponge. So that bad boy will expand. It'll contract. It'll expand, and that's what causes the cracks and the warping. So if they're not taking care of those tables aren't going to survive. And I had another question about those tables. If Robin cares so much about those tables because that's something that her dad made, why didn't she move that shit to her house? You got 4 acres at the crib. Like, you know what I mean? You got 4 acres at your house. You could take those tables that your father gave you, one of the last things your father gave you, and take that back to your house. Because if they're on the property, anybody who owns the property has free use of anything that's on the property. So Janelle could be she's there hanging out, and Gabe calls and say, look, I want to go use the property for some kids from college. We want to go have a kegger down there at the Coyote Pass. They could go down in the Coyote Pass, have a keg party. And then, ain't nothing like college kids and some picnic tables. They standing on them. So standing on them, peeing on them, everything else. So them tables could easily get destroyed. So if that means something to you, why not take them? Because once they're gone, they're gone. And they don't, I mean, to be honest with you, they don't look that sturdy anyway. So, with Cody and Robin, there's so much that they do and so much that they say. I'm never quite sure what they mean and how much they mean it. Are you just saying this because it's something to say on a TV show to make yourself seem more sympathetic, or do you genuinely mean it? If you genuinely mean it, that you actually care about these tables because your dad made them, and this is the last thing that one of the last things he gave you, and it actually means something to you, take it to your house. Take it to your house. And then you could bring go to Costco or whoever the hell they have out there, Sam's Club or whoever, go get some tables and put them out there. For you and the kids to go out there when you guys are enjoying your private park days. But if it was something that meant something to you, take it to your damn house. Oh, that's my two. But thank you so much. Tanya Smith, $2 super chat. There's an RV and 1.5, horse trailer. Oh, okay. 2 horse trailer. Okay. I wonder if that's Janelle's RV or if that's Cody has an RV. Or maybe they put Dayton's RV out there. Wow. I know they had they used to have like the power sports stuff out there. Like Cody and them, the pocket bikes, the ATVs, the motorcycles, and all that stuff that they had for the kids to go play with. Because they basically turned into a power sports park. Ridiculous. But thank you so much, Tanya. Appreciate the info. Was this Kathy Friend? Robin doesn't want anyone at her house, so she has to be dramatic at County Pass. You're right. That's where the drama happens. County Pass. Cody's failed businesses. Yeah, got my failed businesses out there. I wonder if they started taking that stuff out based on his conversation with the real estate agent who might have told him. Because that's one of the things. Like, you can't, if you're trying to sell land, you can't turn it, you can't be a junkyard, you know? So if you got people coming up there to take a look at it, you can't have just shit laying around all over the place. You got to clean it up. Well, what's funny to me is I was doing I got a video coming out tomorrow, so check that out. But when I was doing some research on like the early days of the County Pass experiment, there's one point where Cody was trying to negotiate the purchase of County Pass, and one of the things that he was trying to get them to do was do the utilities. And the people who were selling County Pass said they absolutely would not do utilities. And looking at how expensive it would be for them to try to do utilities out there, I totally understand. Why the fuck would I do if I do utilities, it's instead of me charging you $900,000, it's gonna cost you $1 million to $1.5 million for the same property. If I'm running the utilities, you need to just go ahead and do it yourself. You know, but it's so crazy. Cody Pass is a magical place. Cody said so. Yeah, he did. Um, let's get into it, and then we're gonna open this bad boy up for the last 45. But let's see. One of the things that annoyed me about this entire experience is just simply this. Cody's still acting like he's running stuff. And he has absolute autonomy when it comes to decision making on County Pass and what they're going to do as far as County Pass is concerned. He's sitting around saying basically, I'm doing County Pass and I'll contact you guys when I'm ready to discuss County Pass. You know, and when I'm ready to deal with you as far as County Pass is concerned, then I'll call you and let you know what we're going to do on County Pass. But until then, it's none of your business. Right. And that whole thing, it stops being that way when we stop being a family. I don't trust you. You're no longer the head of the family because we're not family anymore. This is merely a business venture. It's a business venture. And the cold part about it is despite relationships, and I'm trying not to be an asshole about this, but to some degree, when it comes to money and finance, especially between people who are not legally married, it is a business transaction. You know, it's very difficult. Like, you can go in and say we viewed each other as being married and all that and try to pass that off to the court. But legally, Cody only has one wife, right? And because that's the case, they're looking at everything through the lens of essentially the business dealings he had with, or the financial dealings he had with Mary and Janelle are business dealings. And in business dealings, if it's not written down or it's not codified as far as a contract or whatever, then you're kind of you're at a severe disadvantage. And I think that that's where Cody is kind of operating at. So, like, the idea that he's saying, you know, they gave him so much power because they were trying to be nice, they were trying to be cool, they were trying to be friendly, they were trying to be a family, but you gave him so much power, and he is absolutely taking advantage of the power that you gave him. Because now he's sitting there saying, basically, I don't have to tell you anything. And the fucked up part about it is that legally he's not wrong. he doesn't have to explain to him he has to explain to them what he's doing with the land that he shares with their names. But the two pieces of property that are on the either side of the two middle pieces. So let me see if do I still have that Cody Pass. I used to have a picture of Cody Pass in my thing. Yeah, so here we go. If we take a look at it, like the Cody, Christine, Robin, that's now Cody and Robin. And then on the other end, it's Cody and Robin, right? Next to Cody and Janelle, there's Cody and Robin. Then there's Cody, Janelle, Mary. If you look at that, they could literally sell the 5.16 acres that they bought for $300,000. That's Cody and Robin, because Christine gave her share to Cody and Robin. Then they could sell the 2.42 acre for $170. That's Cody and Robin. The only thing left would be Cody, Janelle, Mary for $180, and then Cody and Janelle for $170. So at that point, you're looking at about $350 of the 820, and that's if they just sold it at cost. So this is the true dummy do. Like, that shit is the dummy do. And Cody could do that, and that's what Janelle is worried about. Is that when she talks about he could go back behind my back and he could do some slick stuff. That's what she's talking about. And why is she saying that? Because that's what her attorney is telling her. That's what her attorney is telling her. Like, I don't think this is something that Janelle is just worried about by herself and just, being paranoid. I think she went to her attorney, explained everything to her attorney, and her attorney said, look, you better hope that he don't go back and try to sell it before we file the paperwork. Because if he does, you're just screwed. In which case, instead of us trying to, make changes to the property or put a cease and desist on him being able to sell, or some kind of injunction on him being able to sell or get rid of the property, now we're in the process of trying to recover money that he already has received. And that could be way more complicated. So it's just a mess. Like, this whole thing is a mess. And I feel bad for him, for a lot of reasons because of the way they did it. All in the name of, when we first got together, we were putting things in a big pot. Yeah, when you first got together, you were putting things in a big pot because you didn't have enough money to go around. So when you first got together, you threw shit into a big pot. That's because you're trying to figure out, at that point, you're still trying to figure out whether you should put money on a light bill, or you should put money on a mortgage, or you should put money on a car note, or where you should, at that point is robbing Peter to pay Paul. But when you started to get money, and Robin just so happened to come into the family, and you just happen to have two spenders, Robin and Cody, who didn't mind spending money. And let's be honest, if you look at earlier episodes, the only one who was a little thrifty was Janelle. Full stop. The only one who was thrifty was Janelle. Like, yeah, Christine did couponing, and Mary did some savings here and there. But there are chapters in their book where Christine talks about spending money. There's points on the show where Christine and Mary have both said, "Oh, just buy this, or just put money on that," not really caring about or thinking about where the money was coming from. So the only one who was really, really thrifty was Janelle. Okay, and when rubber meets the road, I'm not blaming anybody, but the truth of the matter is that when you start to get an excess of money and there's more money available, and now it's not only a competition for Cody's time and attention, but there's also a competition for resources. The rule number one to any budgetary thing, like if you're part of an organization and you work for a job and your job has a budget, it's a budget from the business, right? Your boss invariably will spend the entire budget. Why will he spend the entire budget, whether he needs it or not? He will spend the entire budget because if he doesn't spend the budget, the full budget, then next year when they talk about doing budget cuts, your department is going to get cut. Your department is going to get cut because you don't need the money. No, we were really thrifty with the money. We saved some money here and there. We had some coupons. They don't give a shit. Okay? You don't need the money, so we can take the money from you and give it to somebody who does need the money. So that's why, in like most organizations, if they get $100,000, they spend $100,000. If anything, they might show up with a bill and say we need some additional funding, right? Like same when they're in a family and you have that kind of competing interest in a family. You know, if Christine says she can do without, then Christine just don't get. Next time when Cody's up there passing out money, then you didn't need the full $1,000. Last time Robin came in, she needed the $1,000 plus another $500 that I had to try to figure out. So I'm just going to give her your 500, your 1,000, and that way we're good. And so from that respect, I can see them spending money excessively. And this is all of them, right? So, but especially Cody and Rob. Because he has access to the money and he's spending the money. All right. But that is what it is. So with that money going out, all of a sudden, you know, you got Janelle, she's there trying to figure it out. You got Christine there. She's out the family now, but she would, you know, she had to try to figure out, Mary tried to figure it out. And Cody and Robin was going ham. So at that point, it wasn't like it was in the beginning of the relationship. It wasn't, you know, you're kicking all the money in and you're all paying bills because you're all looking out for each other. At that moment, it was every motherfucker for themselves and everybody was trying to get theirs. Pardon my French. But that's what it was. So, I mean, at some point, like the sad part is, and this is a sad part, but the downfall of it is that the ladies didn't make changes when their family changed. They still tried to do the same procedure and same policies that they had when the family was moving initially together. Okay, I talked about that. I just wanted to touch on this, and then I'm going to open it up for you guys because I got to get you guys in. Just the idea of one point where we talk about like business acumen. But before I get into the business acumen, let me just do these hit these super chats. We have some super chats come in. Sassy Experience $2 super chat. QTNA does Mary question? Does Mary and Janelle charge TLC to film on Cody Pass? I would. Yeah, right. Every time Robin and Cody went out there, I'm like, oh, they owe us some money. But then at the same time, part of the problem with that is, here's the crazy part. Cody and Robin could just film on their part. That land where the pool, I'm about to call it a pool, where Cody poop is, they could film there. The land that used to be Christine's. Because they own all of it, according to the paperwork. That's again, that's the thing that just burns me up. They let that happen. And I know somebody just hit the roof. They didn't let it happen. Kind of did though. Sorry. You're mean-o. You're mean. Lock New Engine. I think I spelled that right. Nugent, I think. Lock Nugent. $10 super chat. Sabin showed more emotions for those shitty picnic tables than she ever did for her sister wives. Not a good look for someone in apartment. Oh, my picnic tables. What about those human beings? Oh, the hell with them. I want to sit on them picnic tables. They probably got termites in them and everything else. But Sabin showed more emotions for those picnic tables than she ever did for her sister wives. Not a good look for someone who is supposedly all in on plural marriages. Yeah, right. She's in on plural marriages like a mama. Weekend, baby. I'm your weekend, baby. Yeah, them picnic tables. Now that I think about it, you also have to be careful of infestations because they do have a lot of trees around there. So you got to watch. I'm sure they have like deer ticks and things of that nature. You have like with all them things out there, you could have termites eating that table up, and you guys sitting there trying to eat. Think it's okay because you're gonna scrape on it a little bit. I didn't see any Sanders. Like, oh, we're just gonna knock the rough it up a little bit and just slap some paint on it. It's one way to do it. It's one way to do it. Let me get a little something, something. Thank you so much, Locke. GG, what's up, GG? $1.99 super chat. Cody trips over dollars to pick up nickels. Yeah, right. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Yeah, Cody's a lunatic. Bad, just a bad businessman. Like he's just so bad at it. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Thank you so much, GG. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to talk about was Cody and like just a very subtle difference between Cody and David. Like producers are screwing him over big time. Like they're screwing Cody over big time because they have David trusting his wife. She purchases a property. They're getting it done. Now they're getting these investment properties, something that Cody's been preaching and talking about the entire time they moved out to Cowdy Pass. So much so, he was like, yeah, we need to not move on to Cowdy Pass, just develop it, build rental homes on it, and just make a ton of money, and we could rent those houses out. Here it is. Christine is essentially taking Cody's dream and making it a reality. And when she talks about David from that respect, David is getting it done. And then you have Cody on the other hand, who is literally in a ground war with his ex-wives about keeping and maintaining Cowdy Pass right now. He's in a literal ground war with his ladies about keeping Cowdy Pass because he can't keep things together because he's such a bad businessman from that respect. So you I think once again, this is one of those instances where the producers are doing him no favors. So that's what I have on that. Let me just check something. I want to drop the okay. Put this up here. Link. Drop the link in there, guys. Remember, we're going till for another, I guess, 50 minutes. So, with that being said, just want to make sure that you guys are aware that when you come in, just give me a point, like a hot take on something, and then we're gonna have to move on because I want to try to also. I noticed that last couple weeks we'll have people who come in and unfortunately, I'll post that link there. Post the link in because they wait and then I guess maybe they lose their nerve or they get busy, they get tired or whatever, and they drop out. So I want to give everybody an opportunity to try to get up. So thank you so much, GG. Appreciate you. So yeah, the link is in the thing. So I'm gonna rock it out. Let's see. Oh, Lizzie B in the house. Remember when you call in to be kind to our hosts, mods, and chat. Enjoy the discussion and have fun. All right. Oh, let me put my listeners on so we can hear everybody. All right. Rise, what's going on?
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm frustrated. Okay, I keep going back and back to this show. Okay, I watched Mary and Jen on one of her live things, and she said at they already did the finale, I guess it was called, and she said that she didn't know that Cody made a comment um up, I guess, about the land,
Mm.
and guys, my every time I get on here, my train of thought go bad. Um, basically, she didn't know that he was talking mess about her. So she said, for everybody when they see the finale, she didn't know, they didn't tell her all the stuff that was said about her. And
Mm.
I was thinking that means that she's bagging them up again. And Janelle, question, with Janelle, do you think her kids are encouraging her to go after that land? Because I Janelle seemed like the type that will, okay, I lost it, I'm done, I'm moving on. You think her daughter and her children basically are telling her to go after that land?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
You know,
absolutely. Especially Madison. I think Madison is a big proponent for her going out, getting what's
right?
hers.
I because I don't think Janelle had it in her. Like, I don't, and I think Cody's going to become really. I think Cody's bitter now, but right now, I think he's really bitter because he got the lawsuit. If they did sue, the lawsuit against the
Mm.
land and a lawsuit against Christine. I'm sorry, and
Right.
that's going to be two lawyers. But
Yeah,
that's
it's a
all.
lot of money. It's a lot of
I
money.
know, but I know you had a lot of people. Um, that's all. I was, and I probably when hang up is I'll think of all the rest of the stuff. But that's it.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for your
All right,
brevity and have a great night.
you do the same.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, I 100% agree with Rise's position. I do think that um oh, hold on one second. I got this thing ringing in my ear. I do think that if they're talking to an attorney, see crazy thing with attorneys too is that right now, from my understanding, there's no litigation or there's not a complaint filed against Cody with regard to Cowdy Pass. But that doesn't mean that there aren't lawyers having conversations. With lawyers having conversations, those conversations cost money. Okay, anything that an attorney does for you costs you money. The jacked up part about it is, unlike contingency lawsuits where you get into an accident, slip, fall, auto accident, you get hurt, you call an attorney, probably see the commercials on all the time. Like, you call us if you get hurt and it's not your fault, and we'll get you paid. Usually, those places try to go for settlements, and what they do is if you don't get paid, we don't get paid. So if we don't get you any money, we don't get paid. In those particular instances, if you're suing for those kind of damages, slip, falls, car accidents and stuff, they'll do contingency lawsuits. If you're doing custody, that's out the pocket. If you're doing this kind of land deal, for you need representation for a land dispute or a title dispute on land, that's out the pocket. So you could literally spend 15, 20, $30,000 before you even talk about going to an attorney or talk about going to court. So it's just something to think about. So I agree with what Rise had to say. Next up, we have Sassy Experience in the house. What's going on?
Hey. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Doing very well. Doing very well.
Quick point. Cody kept saying tonight, I plan to be fair. I plan to be fair. And we all know that's a crock of BS, right?
Right.
I think his version of fairness is, how he said in last week's episode that he paid for one of the parcels by himself. I think he's counting that parcel that he and Christine more or less came to agreement on, where she kept the house and gave him her piece. I think he's counting that as, quote unquote, the piece he paid for by himself. And then he's going to keep that one. And then he plans to split the other 3 pieces of land, quote unquote, equally. That's what I think his scheme is.
Right. I think you might be right. I think you're onto something.
Yeah. And last point real quick. David is better than me because ain't enough checks with commas and zeros in it for me to sit every damn episode and have my current wife compare me to her ex-husband. I ain't built like that. I ain't built for that shit.
I heard that. It's funny you say that because my wife said the same thing. She's like, nah. Every time
1 or 2 episodes, maybe, but come on now. Every time we meet up, we got to do this. No, they don't pay me enough for that.
Right. You keep it. I thought you was over him. No, I am over him. That's funny because you got his name in your mouth a lot.
Exactly. All righty, sir. You have a good evening.
You too. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
That's an excellent point. You know what? I didn't consider that the trigonometry on that, but Sassy Experience is absolutely right. Because if you remember, just to quantify it, and we'll just move on, but to quantify what she was talking about, the land where Christine had her name, if we remember, when Cody was talking about helping Christine get her house, he said that was money that me and Robin gave Christine. So that's my money in Christine's house. So if Christine gave him the land in exchange for Cody Pass, like in exchange for her house, then by his logic, he could very well believe that he owns that big plot of land. So just so we're clear, I'll show it one more time and then we'll move on. Holy shit, I didn't even think of that, but she is 100% right. Yeah, this Cody Robin, where over it's down on the left side. But Cody, Christine, and Robin, that's the land at 5.16 acres. That would be the land that he might be trying to claim. Like if initially I thought it was the land with just him and Robin on it, that's sandwiched between Cody, Janelle, and then Cody, Janelle, and Mary. But Sassy Experience might be so right. Oh, that'd be ugly if he tried that shit though. That'd be ugly. Because that's a huge swath of the land. That's huge. But next up, ladies and gentlemen, let me close this out. How do I do this? Okay. Hold on one second, guys. Having some technical difficulties. Ooh, that was ugly. All right. Next up, we got Betty coming to the stage. Betty, what's going on?
Hey, sweetie, I promise I'll keep it quick.
Okay.
Because, I'll be one of them that tend in the long run. Mine wasn't really about the financials. It's more about how scripted the bonfire was.
Right.
Those kids were miserable. I mean, like, really, I've seen more joy on a lightning bug's butt than that.
Right.
There was no, and then I think, what's her name? Not Ari, but the oldest one.
Aurora.
She almost slipped up tonight when she was talking about mothering. And then she had to quickly backtrack and say, oh, well, because of you two.
Right.
And that felt like it was a backtrack quick.
Oh, you think
and
she
I've
might
been
be
more
pregnant?
worried about it's so. And why do you need to roll up? You live less than a mile away. You're going to roll up in 4 cars. All that little bit of paint could have fit it in the back of one of them cars or trucks.
Right,
you got 4 of them rolling up. Really?
Especially he got a pickup truck. He has a pretty decent sized pickup truck. Yeah.
Right. Even if you're worried about some paint spilling, put a liner in that bad boy.
Right.
Come on. That to me, that's just the whole thing felt so scripted. There was no joy, no nothing. And how you gonna give that poor little old skinny girl an axe? Bigger than her.
She gotta learn, Cody.
I know, but and you think about how dangerous. Like no safety goggles, nothing. There's the other 2 little ones running around there, and that's really, like it's dangerous. And then you got poor little Ari with her little napkin full of worms.
Mm-hmm.
Not ones that I hear. Say get the worms off the picnic table. No, Where's your sanitizer? Wash your hands.
Right.
There's a house. Run on up there and wash your hands. Don't touch that food.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
especially with the prairie poop.
Right.
I mean, I'd be more worried about the bacteria.
Yeah, because the dogs up there are sick. That's what made the soil jacked
So
up. You can get
contaminated.
sick. Yeah, you can get sick up there messing around.
That's
in
what
that
I mean.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, my kids played with worms and mud pies and everything else. I mean, mine would not have done well on that picnic because they done got in that water and mud pies but I mean, and painting. I mean, you can tell he has no patience for those kids. Hurry, back up! You're getting paint on you. You got more paint on you. Back up.
Right.
Well, why the hell did you bring her out there to paint? She's a kid.
Right. Well, I mean, adults will get paint on them. So.
Oh hell, I'm the worst one. I'm guilty of it. I go to paint my porch and I got more on me than the porch. I'm like, well, shit. Or I'm usually the one that does my elbow in it. It's like, well, let me redo that. And I step down and well, shit, I got it on my elbow and my feet now.
Right.
But I promised I'd shut up because, I get long-winded. That's just something I mean, like, I didn't really want to do the financials. It's more about the family, how scripted.
Right.
And then, like, next week's I can't. Oh, you talk about baptism. It's so personal. That's not a discussion.
Right.
I mean, like, if you really believe you're getting baptized, then that's between you and the good Lord. And at 20-something, you can make that decision.
Right.
And does anybody, you might know, I know it said mid-season trailer, but they only have it showing on the 2nd, like on Mine Upcoming.
Mm-hmm.
But then it doesn't show the next episode, nothing. For like the next 2-3 Sundays, that's showing no episodes.
Yeah, maybe they're taking a break and then they'll come back.
Yeah, I didn't know how
they're not done. They're nowhere near done. Yeah, because
I think they've got what, 10 more?
Huh?
I think they've got what, 9 or 10 more episodes?
Right. Yeah, they're going to like March, sometime in March. So
maybe we'll get it back in middle of February.
Yeah. All
right, well, honey, I promised I'd shut up. So you have a good night, baby.
All right, you too. Have a good one. Thanks for calling in.
All right, bye, sweetheart.
All right. Awesomeness. Yeah, the whole we're trying to join the church. I want to do a video about that because there's a couple lines that stick out to me about that. So we will be talking more in depth about the whole church thing, especially prepping for next week. I hope they put it in a super cut it into a clip that I can pull so I can do the comparisons before next week's episode. But we shall see. Michelle coming to the stage. What's going on, Michelle? How you doing?
Hi, James. I owe you an apology.
Oh, you did?
The way that I've been going on, I've never given you a chance to sort of intercept and say anything. So I am very sorry. I never really thought about how that would come across. So paperwork.
No worries.
The paperwork. Surely there has got to be some sort of paperwork that is necessary to go forward in this court case for the land as to where that money was paid from, not who it was paid to, but where that money was paid from. So if it was paid from the account, the family account, surely there should be paperwork saying that that's the account the money came from, which would hopefully open up an avenue to exploitation of finances, surely. And the other thing is, how did Cody get away with going down to some title office? It's not like he doesn't have an invested interest in it. How was he allowed to put his name on everything without the others there to co-sign it?
Oh, because he was the one dealing with the gentleman. As long as the crazy part is, if he's the one that initiated the sale, right? Because he's supposed to be the head of the family. He meets with the guy and he writes out a check to the guy. He can list whoever he wants on the title of that property.
That just seems so wrong.
Yeah, it's not smart. It's definitely not smart.
No. But I just hope they look into, because even if the money comes from Cody's personal account, surely if there was a big intake of money into his personal account and then that money was used to then be paid from his account, there should be some sort of correlation there that is easily provable. So, let's just hope it buys him a conscience at some point, hey?
Right.
But have a good week, my darling, and much love to you all. All right?
Thank you so
Take care,
much.
guys.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. Awesomeness. Yeah, Michelle's right. Like the only thing that would make me nervous about what she's saying, because technically, if he did 1 for 1, so if he pulled from the family account and he paid right into, or if he wrote checks, I mean, the best case scenario, he drew checks directly off of the family account to put deposits onto the property. That's the best case scenario. Unfortunately, I could see him kind of washing the money a little bit, laundering it through some of the businesses that he created. If he passes it through as like an investment or a payment towards some of the businesses, just kind of sits the money there and then diverts it off a little bit at a time, or he puts more money to it. Say if he had like money that he added to the particular amount and then made that deposit and he drew the check off of his business accounts as opposed to off the family accounts, that could be a way to do it. But I mean, there's a lot of that would come down to like the prospect of having an accountant or somebody, a forensic accountant, going in and actually taking a look at it. The problem is that all of that is tremendously expensive. And by it being tremendously expensive, it becomes prohibitive by nature. So it'll cost you like a good bit of money to get somebody to actually dig into the books that way. And it could be done. It could easily be done, but it's going to cost you. So, I mean, that's kind of the drawback. But coming back to the stage next, we have Alexandra PF. What's going on?
Hey, James, how are you?
Doing very well.
Good. First of all, I loved your voicemail on the reality TV cringe
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, that was on Friday on the podcast. So that was fun. Couple of comments. I've been watching your videos lately about the Cody and Robin dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to Cody, and remember in his book, he wrote he'd be holding a girl's hand and wonder, why am I holding this person's hand? So I think with Cody, once he achieves something, he doesn't want it anymore. And I think that's why Robin has to keep up the game of, I don't know if I want to stay, or I don't know if I want to keep doing this without polygamy. Like, even though she's not going anywhere, she's, so many kids in and, assets are tied and all this. She's not going anywhere, but she has to play the game of him keeping up the chase.
Right.
So anyways, that's just my thought on part of their dynamic, because, I think that's another thing she learned from her mom. And another thing I noticed from these episodes is, you notice how there's always a contrast with the new wife, or the OG wives always doing new things, and Christine's getting her house and she's moving on in happiness, and then you go over to like Coyote Pass or their house where they're cutting down the tree, and it's all like unhappy, glum. Like, it's just an interesting contrast with the episodes.
Yeah, it's they're stuck. I think
Yeah.
Robin and Cody are kind of stuck.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the wives are off doing interesting things. Well, I mean, interesting enough. Still, we're still grasping at straws here, but it's I find the production this year is a lot different than before, and we're seeing more of the truth coming out.
Yes. And I think that that's accurate. I think that that's fair play.
Yeah. So that's about it for my observations. Just, like I said, watching your videos and just thinking that, just got to try to make him think that he's working for it, even though he's not.
Right.
So,
but thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you.
Have a great night.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye. Oh, appreciate you guys. Yeah, Alexander, I think she's definitely on to something. Like, when push them down and shove, like you talk about, like Cody and like even with Robin, yeah, he's always pursuing her, and Robin is the one wife that even when he technically has her, like right now he has her, but she keeps pushing him off, and I think that push off is what's killing him. It's killing him on the inside, y'all. He's feeling it. So he's still in pursuit mode, but he's struggling with it. I think he's definitely struggling with it. Let me give a little recognition to Brenda Allegranzi. Hopefully I got that right. $10 super chat, super sticker. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let me give you a little something, something. Little something, something. All right. Next up, we have Gigi. What's going on, Gigi? How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Doing very well.
The thing that struck me tonight, which I always think about, but it became apparent again tonight. You know how Robin is always like putting her mouth or her hand over Cody's mouth, or she's trying to make him shut up when she thinks he's going to say something she doesn't want him to say.
Mm-hmm.
She ought to be policing herself.
You're right.
The things that she says, I'm like, keep talking, Robin. Keep talking. She said, things she said tonight. Oh, well, 3.5 kids is a lot for one person to take care of. And yeah, I want somebody to knock on my door. It bothers me when someone, kind of invades my personal space. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you were so in for this big family. She doesn't realize I've seen so many things on this show recently where it's like, keep talking. You're digging yourself a hole. Come on.
Right. No, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I think that especially anytime she talks about she tries to justify buying a big house, big mansion, which I'm going to tie that into a video too, because I think there's some interesting points that we got to talk about. But anytime she talks about that, she talks about how that was just an investment and the family invested in that, and it wasn't supposed to be her house, but everybody's house. Like this whole thing. Like if they get an attorney, their attorney's gonna be bald headed because I know he's pulling his hair out.
Yeah, I just think that's very funny that she wants to police what he says, but she doesn't realize all the things that come out of her own mouth. So just keep talking, girl.
Yeah.
And that's it for me. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you
Hope
so
everybody
much.
has a great night.
You too. Have a great night. Thanks for calling in. Awesomeness. Next up, we have Tanya Carter in the house. What's going on, Tanya? How you doing?
Hey, James. Good to hear from you tonight.
Good to hear from you as well.
So I'll keep it brief. My one point that I saw tonight that I was this is ludicrous, and I was hollering at the screen. When Janelle was talking about the finances and how she just was the bookkeeper, and Cody tries to make it seem like she's the one that, and all these finances were coming out, and then they pan to Cody in his talking head, and he's like, I have 18 children. And frankly, it was none of her business what I was doing with it. I hollered at the screen because I'm like, dude, yeah, you had 18 children, but you were only spending that money on 5. Like, stop playing in our faces.
Right.
I couldn't believe he said that.
Exactly. Well, it's kind of funny too, because he said, I had 18 kids. You had one child with Mary. You had 6 kids with Christine, and you had 6 kids with Janelle. So the other 5 kids, I don't know why. Like, so technically, Janelle wouldn't have had purview or knowledge of only 5 of those kids. So basically, he's saying I had a third of my children I was taking care of with all this disappearing money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he thinks people are stupid because Janelle was close to Christine's kids.
Right.
So let's call it 12 of those kids were her business. And he's saying it wasn't none of her business what he was doing. He kills me.
Right. You're 100% right. And that burned me up just on the fact that, like, you're talking about the kids or whatever, and that money that I spent is none of your business. Anytime I put money into something, whatever happens with that money is my business. Anything that happens because of that money is my business. If you don't want me to be involved, don't take my money.
Yep.
Full stop. If you want to use your money for whatever you want to do, and you want to go do secret squirrel shit with your money, be my guest. You know what I mean? But don't take my money out of the bank account or out of the joint account and then go off and do some stuff and then tell me that I shouldn't worry about it. Like that's completely, it's ignorant. It's downright
ignorant.
ignorant.
Yeah. He was out of line. I couldn't believe it. But
Right.
that was it. I was like, man, I hope I remember what I got to say. That was it.
I appreciate you. Great point. Because I remember saying that too. I was like, what?
Yep. I was like, I know he didn't.
Yeah. It is. It's the craziest part. I don't want to hold you, but the craziest part to me with regard to that is just the fact that I don't want to be that guy. Like, I don't want to turn it all into like, this misogyny, this sexism. But the truth of the matter is, under zero circumstances could Christine marry Janelle or even Robin look Cody in the face and say, well, I got 6 kids. You're not here. What I spent the money on is none of your business. There's no universe where I can see him being okay with that comment. Like,
not at all.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. He said that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Well, what was that? Excuse me?
I was cussing. I said, what?
Yeah. There's a few things like some of the stuff I'm kind of used to. This whole new, like, it's none of your business stuff, especially if we're operating as a family and we're sharing finances. This whole it's none of your business. That gets me every time.
Yep.
So apparently I didn't realize I had that soft belly when it came to that. But yeah, I can't take it. I can't take it.
So, all right. Well, I'll let you go.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in, Ty. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Have a good one.
Night.
Awesome. Yeah, Ty got me, boy. She right about that shit. I saw that. Hey, excuse me? Yeah, that like, because the lies, like him lying and being dishonest, I'll be right with you, Coco. The lying and the dishonesty I could take, well, kinda, like it still gets me a little bit. The stories are crazy. When he talks nuts, it's nuts. But every time, it's none of your business. I don't know how these women are not cussing his ass out. I don't know. The strength of Job, Jack. Patience of Job. Coco coming to the stage. What's going on, Coco? How you doing?
Hi there. Gosh, it's so nice to talk to you.
You too.
All right, just a couple of things. It's funny, I was listening while I was waiting, and it just seems like everyone's really on the same wavelength. And I don't know about you, but for a long time, I watched the show, and at first, I couldn't understand why everybody didn't like Robin. And I was like, well, she just doesn't know. She's naive. She doesn't get it. And I was drinking, I guess, her Kool-Aid. But I've come to realize she's very calculated. And to me, one of the things that you can tell she's calculated about is the way that she controls the image, which is what another caller said earlier. And in this episode, there came a point where Cody started talking about he wanted to keep the pond. And what did Robin say? Oh, let's not talk about that. And I feel like that is exactly what they're trying to do, is to keep that corner lot exactly like what you were saying.
Right.
And the other thing is, I really want you to do a video on what they talked about the side chick. Because as I was listening to that tonight, I was thinking, okay, so is she saying, I should have rewound it. Was she saying that her biological father was introduced to her as her uncle? It almost sounded like that's not her biological father.
No, yeah. The makeup of her family is very similar to the makeup of how she practiced her relationship in the Brown family. So her mom, when she was younger, her mom had separated from Robin's natural father when she was very young. And she prohibited the father from interacting with Robin. So she kept Robin away from her natural father, in which case she started to date her friend's husband and eventually married him. Well, married in a polygamous sense.
Okay.
So that was the guy she knew as Uncle George.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense, because what it kind of sounded like was like they kept Robin a secret from the friend's mother and all of that.
Wait, Robin's. Wait, what did
So
you say?
yeah, you made it make more sense to me. What I thought I was hearing was that um like Robin and the uncle, that was her real father, but that had been kept a secret from the mother until they got married. But that's not what happened, is what you're saying.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
was his name was Paul Sullivan. So her
Oh.
stepfather's name is Paul Sullivan. That's the guy that they met in because they lived outside of Nevada or Las Vegas, right outside of Las Vegas. So it was very weird that once Robin a little bit before Robin supposedly announced that she got pregnant, the family had to run away from Utah to Las Vegas, which would have put her right close to her stepfather, Paul Sullivan, Uncle Paul, and her mom.
Mm.
And then when they went to Arizona, they just happened to get, Cody just happened to get tired at Las Vegas right around the time that her oldest son, Dayton, got accepted to Arizona State. And
It's
they
very
just
convenient.
Right. So a lot of that stuff has happened. But like the
Yeah.
whole idea of like the honeymoon and maintaining those type of relationships in for a long period of time, those romantic relationships, that all came from watching her mom do that to her stepfather. So he would he would spend the week with his wife, and then he would spend the weekends with Robin's mom, his girlfriend. So from that respect, it's very easy to have a honeymoon relationship. If I'm only coming to see you 2 days out the week and on the weekend, and when I show up on the weekend, you're not giving me a whole lot of problems. You're not talking to me about what's going on. I might break you off a couple dollars and maybe we go do some things between me and you and the kids, but we're not really doing a whole lot. You understand what I mean? Like you're not an integral part of my life. The integral part of my life happens Monday through Friday. So it'd be easy for me to maintain that honeymoon relationship. And that's what she was able to maintain with Cody when he had the other wives. But now he doesn't want the other wives because he wants to have a honeymoon relationship all the time. But she can't. I think part of her struggle with Cody is that she can't provide him that honeymoon relationship all the time because it doesn't exist.
Mm.
You know,
It's so interesting how much her values and the situation she's in now is so parallel with her upbringing. It sounds like it's just amazing. Anyway,
yeah.
thank you so much.
No worries. No worries. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
You did an awesome job now. I expect more phone calls in the future.
Oh, I look forward to it.
All
Thank you.
right. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Fantastic calls, guys. If anybody wants to call in, we have a little bit more time. We got one of the superstar mods calling in. Brittney, not Brittney, in the house. What's going on, Britt?
Hi. That was
How's it going?
fast. I was like, oh, I got like 2 people I gotta wait behind. That'll be fine. So I wanted to piggyback on the last caller and what you guys were talking about with the honeymoon experience. And you were saying how, with the honeymoon experience, Robin was trying to recreate that for Cody, and Cody wants that, as he would say, perpetually. And I think for Robin, not only is it in general, that facade is not easy to maintain because she's someone who, in my mind, is like lazy. She doesn't want to put effort into things.
Right.
So, just for her, maybe 1 to 2 days, 24 to 48 hours, she can put forth that facade that she is this, prime mother, wife, lover, the full package.
Right.
But I think if it were a different man, she probably could maintain that honeymoon experience for longer periods of time. But Cody is like a child and he demands so much from her. Like I can just see him being so incredibly draining to her, because he's running around, even when he's not around, she probably doesn't have peace because he's, knocking trees into the roof. So just every time it's like watching a 2-year-old, like, get that out of your mouth. No, put that down. Come here. Like, just, I can see her having that energy with Cody. And I can
Right.
also see that being like a massive turnoff, because I don't want to like be in a romantic relationship with the child. That's like, what? I'm trying to be with a man who's gonna like take care of stuff. And
Right.
Cody is not, he is not that guy at all.
I got you. Don't want to raise a spouse.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm trying to raise my spouse.
And
Well,
that's what she's doing.
well, because I think that it's interesting too. Like, because one of the points that you made, with regard to the honeymoon experience, is it possible to have something similar to a honeymoon experience? It is, but the honeymoon experience has to be a shared experience. It
Yes.
can't be a mono experience where only
Hmm.
he is experiencing a honeymoon. And that's what it sounds like he goes for. Because when
Yes.
he shows up, she drops everything and it's all focused on him. And
Hmm.
so if he wants everything to get dropped, but unfortunately, if you live with me 100% of the time and
Hmm.
I drop everything and I just focus on you, nothing else in my household is getting done.
Nothing's getting done.
You know,
And that's what Cody likes. He likes the fact that he can go over to Robin's house and he doesn't have to do anything.
mm,
But if she's dropped everything, at some point something has to get done, which means at some point Cody's gonna have to do something.
right,
And that's not gonna work. And then that makes me think back as far as the honeymoon experience. Um Robin was saying after Ari that she really wanted to have another child. And Cody was just like, she sleep in our bed every night.
right,
When
right.
are we gonna be able to do that? And it goes to, on both of their parts, the unrealistic expectations that they have for each other. And it's unrealistic, and they're also not on the same page with what's realistic and what's unrealistic. She thinks that, she can just have Cody all to herself and she's not going to have to put any effort in because she has the other wives to, compare to.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks that he just gets this, diesel jeans model all the time who, you know, wakes up like this every
Right.
single day.
No, I agree. I agree.
So yes, that was my 2 cents
No, I
on
appreciate it. I
on it.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you so much for calling in, Britt. Nice talking to you.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. You back in the States yet?
Yeah, I'm back. I got back last Sunday. So
Oh,
I
okay.
was like pulling up to my house when the live like really got started
Oh,
last
okay.
week. Yeah. Yeah. So I made it. I'm waiting for CJ, my fiance, to get back. He's delayed. They having plane issues. So they're like, we don't know when we gonna get y'all back. So I'm like, all right, well,
You be
love the
safe.
military. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm good with him staying. Like, don't come on no funky plane.
Right,
Like,
right, right.
y'all take all the time you need to get it together.
Don't show up and they be taping the wings on, you know.
Right, right.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Well, hopefully
Yes.
you have safe travels.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And thanks for having me. I will let you go so everybody can get some sleep.
All right, thank you so
Yes.
much. I appreciate you calling in.
No problem.
All right,
Bye.
bye. All right, we had Daryl in. Says your device is not connected. If you want to call back in, that's great. We can hook you up. Yeah, I just think that like with regard to like the whole honeymoon experience, it's a nice thing to say. It's a nice thing to say. Like I think that it's a nice thing to say, but the very concept of it, as far as I'm concerned, is overplayed. Right? If you have a good relationship, there's going to be disagreements. There's going to be times when you mad at each other, you can't stand each other. You know what I mean? It's just it's par for the course. It's like that with any relationship, especially relationships where you are dealing with somebody who is your equal, somebody who has just as much investment in your relationship as you do. You're going to hit a point where You might want to go one way, they want to go another way. But the reality of it is that you are both so invested in this thing and you care so much about this relationship that and you're so passionate about it, which is key too. You're so passionate about it that you don't want to see it get messed up. So you're willing to take that argument. You're willing to have that discussion. You're willing to do those hard talks, right? And that's what makes relationships special. It's not that you sitting around smiling and wiggling your toes every time somebody walk into the room. That's childish. That's a childish way to look at it. And I'm gonna be blunt. Part of the issue I have with so many of the relationships that I hear about, not just on Sister Wives, but on reality TV in general, a lot of times when they describe these relationships, they come off very childish and very adolescent. Like these are like the ways you approach relationships when you're in high school, right? But it's so crazy to me. Like you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have points where you're not going to feel supported. You're going to have times when you are supported. Like it's at the ebbs and flows of any relationship that you're in, and it's just learning how to deal with it, learning how to overcome any difficult problems, issues, or concerns you may have. And that's what makes your relationship. The fact that you choose, like you have all these problems, you have all these issues, but yet you still choose to stay in there with this person and slug it out. That's a relationship. But sitting there saying that everything is great and everything is perfect, and that, who the hell's leaving perfect? Even if you're not, here's the crazy part. Let me say something crazy. Who's leaving perfect? Even if you're not happy? Who's leaving perfect, even if you're not happy? And that, to me, that creates a bigger problem. Like if you're sitting there saying that you're happy and you're content and everything is great, and when Cody goes over to the house, Robin drops everything and she sits there and worships him and gives him the big boss feeling because she sits there and pretend like he's the end all be all and he knows everything and he's so smart and he gets to be the man when he comes over to her house. She could literally be sitting there miserable. But he loves it because when he shows up, he gets treated how he wants. She bows down and kisses his ass where the other women won't. She tells him that he's the boss when the other women weren't. Even though she might be ripping him off behind his back, she tells him to his face that he's the boss. And it feels good. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they have a strong relationship. This is also part of the reason why, get ready to close down, but this is also part of the reason why I say, make sure you take care of your relationship and don't compare your relationship to what you may see either on social media or even from your friends. Before there was social media, there were friends, and people would look at their friend and be jealous of their friend and what their friend have and how their friend's husband is talking to them and how their friend girlfriend look or whatever the case may be, or how she talking to them and dealing with them, and you're jealous of that. And, oh, their relationship is perfect, only to find out that there's perfect out in the street, but behind closed doors, it's a living hell. It's a complete hellscape. So from that respect, you don't want to get used to saying that they have these great relationships because you don't know. So I kind of see that like whole idea of the honeymoon situation as them saying they have these great relationships and everybody should be jealous of how awesome my relationship is. But the more you try to tell me that your relationship is perfect, picture perfect, the more I question as to whether it is a decent relationship or not. But that's just me. Coming to the stage next, we got Daryl Lynn. Make sure you guys hit the like button so that way we can know that you guys like it. It helps the channel out, helps me out, helps everybody out. Wank, wank. So go ahead, bring up Daryl Lynn. What's going on? Daryl Lynn, I'm sorry.
Hey there, how you doing tonight?
Doing very well.
I wanted to go back on what you mentioned about that because they're not husband and wife, that it's really a business transaction. So the way I see any forward progress on behalf of Janelle and even Mary, because she's now the legal ex-wife, is a business lawsuit. So it's more of a I don't know, worst or biggest case scenario, which I ever doubt that they would pursue, would be like human trafficking, because it's technically they were laboring for him and he's the only one that pocketed all the money.
Right.
So if going off of what you mentioned that it's a business transaction, well, it's a very shady business transaction to the point of, at least at minimum, it's like, you work at a job and your paycheck bounces kind of situation.
Right.
I've had that job before. So if, however, legal prosecution to move forward with anything, that's because if it in a civil lawsuit, I'm with you. It's not really anything that can be done because what's on paper is what's on paper. So if they really want to move forward and get him shifting his feet in any kind of way, because like how you said before, he's trying to act like he's still in control by not doing anything and saying like, oh, well, I just don't want to deal with it. Well, too bad, buddy. When somebody serves you some papers, you have to deal with it.
Right. Yeah, I would even say that if they get attorneys, have the attorneys start to make phone calls and have the attorneys start to have hard conversations with him. If he has an attorney, they start talking to his attorney. And ultimately, here's kind of a weird thing, because this is also a strategy with these types of litigations. Sometimes the mere fact that you're paying for representation in and of itself can cause you to settle some of these cases, because nobody wants to put out $15,000-$20,000. Even if I could win the case, you know what I mean? I might not have $20,000 up front to pay for a retainer for an attorney, because when you pay for these types of attorneys, whether it's civil or criminal, you have to put money into the tank for them to do any work for your case, for them to take your case. So you're paying them up front. They're not, oh, we'll wait for the verdict to come through. They're not doing that. They want their money up front before they put a pen to paper and file anything. They want to get that first check, that first deposit. And so out of, just the sheer fact that you don't want to deal with the lawsuit, an attorney might tell Cody very well, look, this thing could drag out for years. It's going to be incredibly expensive. They may be in better financial situations than you're in. Like Mary, I think probably is in a better financial situation than Cody, and maybe even Janelle. So she might have the money to blow on an attorney. And just by that fact, you don't want to be in a situation where she can afford an attorney and you can't. So you might want to just settle with them and get it out the way. You understand what I mean? So they could have those type of conversations and get things moving in that way too. Just saying, Janelle and Mary, like,
yeah,
hint, have
part of me
attorneys
just wants him
call.
behind bars too. So get him on a criminal lawsuit, then civil. Get him behind bars.
Well, with him taking that money, the misappropriation of money, and depending on how they do the whether it was coming out of the LLC, because I'm pretty sure it sounds like this to me, and this is just my opinion. It sounds to me like they were pulling it in through the Cody Brown LLC business. So if it's a business and you're using business funds inappropriately for things that were not approved by the business as a business expense, then you could be in trouble. Like you could say that, like literally, you could say that them renting houses in Arizona could be a business expense because they're basically paying for room and board for them to be in Arizona altogether so they could film, so they can make money for the show. You could articulate that argument. Transportation, you might be able to articulate that. The kids having transportation might be a little bit of a stretch, but you could say, maybe you could try to argue that it was their form of compensation for appearing on the show. And for them being out there and so that they can transport themselves to video shoots or shoots for the show, that kind of thing, clothes, you might be able to articulate. But if it comes to like, I just took out $50,000 so I can go on vacation.
No.
Yeah, you going to jail. Like people are going to jail for stuff like that. So I don't
Or I
know.
mean, like
I don't know.
buying paintings can qualify under that too.
Right, yeah. I mean, because it would have to be something where you would have to be able to justify that you purchased the paintings as a means for the show. The complication that Robin and Cody would have, is that they don't film in their house.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I mean? So even like the use
purposely being outside.
Right, exactly.
Down a
So
tree.
right, cut down trees, sitting on Coyote Pass, walking, sitting on a porch. Like it's just like it's hard for you to say that. Oh yeah, I bought those paintings because I wanted to maintain a certain image for the show, so I did it for the show. But they never film in the house. It's uphill.
Well, that was my 2 cents. So
No, I
I'll
appreciate it.
I'll let you go. But that was my thought. Was it ain't going to be a civil thing? It would have to be more of a criminal thing.
Right. Yeah, you just got to get
All right.
Thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate you. Excellent point. The only issue I would say with criminal stuff is that it relies on a lot more of the criminal portions of our system relies more on the district attorney to press charges. That's the only thing with criminal cases. So you're kind of relying on the discretion of the district attorney, who will see the case, feel that the case has merit, and that he could win the case and is interested in pursuing the case. But other than that, like, part of the problem, and again, with some of these investigations, kind of what Darylyn said, I got to tell you, part of the investigation, if you're an attorney representing Janelle and Mary, you very well may say, look, we get to looking. If we find something that's inappropriate or criminal, it's my duty to turn it over to the district attorney's office, in which case it's completely out of, Mary and Janelle's hands. That's the one thing to be very clear. When it comes to criminal cases, I know like a lot of TV shows are that way, and in some jurisdiction, it makes it feel like you can drop charges. The reality of it is, in the process of criminal cases, criminal procedure, dropping and maintaining charges is completely at the discretion of the district attorney. So if you are the victim of a crime, you can't just say, you know what, I don't want to press charges anymore. It's not up to you. It's up to the district attorney. In fact, if you say you don't want to press charges, you don't want to participate in that prosecution, the district attorney can issue a subpoena to have you show up. And if you don't show up, they can have you arrested. And they can have you arrested not only for contempt of court, but they can have you arrested for obstruction of justice. So you don't want to be a victim of a crime and then go to jail because you didn't want to prosecute the crime. Like, it's just crazy. So I'm just saying, like, just theoretical, that is a possibility. So it's a different thing when a district attorney is involved versus where Christine and Janelle, or not Christine and Janelle, Janelle and Mary are bringing a civil suit, in which case they could drop a civil suit anytime they want. They could stop tomorrow. They could start a civil suit Monday morning. They could stop the civil suit by lunch Monday afternoon. If the district attorney is involved, there's no stopping it until the district attorney is either satisfied or they have some kind of decision from the court. This is what I was saying, like, even way back when, if we get into the Wayback Machine, when they were talking about they left Utah and they were outrunning the law. No. If the district attorney want to prosecute you, there's no, my attorney called him and told him we was leaving. Because the district attorney will tell your attorney, well, you tell them to turn their ass around because they will be getting arraigned. They'll be having their preliminary arraignment Monday morning in Judge Joe's office. They can turn themselves in for arrest, get fingerprinted, go down, get their preliminary arraignment, get their formal charges read, get bail set, and they get kicked and maybe be out by that afternoon. Or I go down, get an arrest warrant sworn out, and it will get them on flight. In which case, you won't get bail. You won't get bail because if you don't show up, if they call it, this is one of the crazy parts too. Just a side note, and then I'm gonna let you guys go. Side note: if you have an attorney, and the district attorney contacts your attorney, and they represent you, and they're in negotiation with your attorney, keeping them apprised of the case, the district attorney decides that they go down and get an indictment or whatever. They have charges, and there's an arrest warrant or warrant for your arrest. They will contact your attorney. They'll negotiate with your attorney. Your attorney can set up a time where you can turn yourself in safely at the police station or wherever. You get fingerprints processed, then you can get your arraignment, in which case you'll have a formal reading of your charges, and you will get your formal reading of the charges, and you'll get your bail set or whatever. You'll be released on your own recognizance, not meaning you don't have to pay any money, or bail set or get a bail bondsman. If they talk to your attorney, they say, show up on Monday. If your ass don't show up on Monday, they will swear out a warrant for your arrest. And when they get you, and you come to court, they read you your charges, and they talking about bail, you're probably not going to get bail because your ass don't know how to show up to court. So, a bit of a tangent. But yeah, the whole thing with Cody is crazy. I want to make a couple videos out of this because I think that there's a couple points that I thought were interesting to talk about. I do have a video that I want to do. I just pulled footage up where we're going to be talking. We're going to take a step back and talk about Mary, specifically where Cody was like, "Oh, Mary got her wet bar," and I wanted to give a formal response from my take on that whole wet bar comment. Trust me, fire. It's going to be fire because I'm coming in hot. Okay, so we're going to be talking about that probably. I'll release that probably on Tuesday. Tomorrow, guess what, guys? Doing Sister Lives. Hopefully, I have a fire in the iron because Sarah is not going to be able to make it. So tomorrow, Sister Lives, we're going to be doing something a little different either way. So we will be doing Sister Lives at 7 o'clock, or I'll be doing the Sister Lives at 7 o'clock. Hopefully I have a special guest at 7. If not, I'll be opening the phone lines and we'll be doing some more talking again. All right, guys. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. I appreciate you. I appreciate all my callers. You guys kept it short to the point. You guys were on point, knocking it down. We were able to get through a lot of the phone calls. All the phone calls have been cleared. It was amazing. I want to thank everybody in the chat for holding it down. Let me give a little something to the people in the chat. Yeah, and most definitely, for sure, I want to give a huge shout out to all my mods. I got Lizzie B in the house, OG mod. I got Brittney, not Brittney in the house, as well as Carmel Cuties in the house, holding it down for a play. Let me give them a little something. Oh, and before I go, I want to make sure I hit this last person. Audrey Bringinger with the $1.99 super chat. James, I saw you over in the dumpster. Great collab. Yes, thank you so much, Audrey. I plan to reach out to the ladies. For those who don't know, I want to try to roll a podcast. And as part of my podcast idea, I want to have a podcast. I got to set it up before I give the name of the podcast. Call me crazy, but I want to do a podcast. And as part of my podcast, I want to talk about different issues like more across the reality TV scape. But I also want to collab with, as part of the podcast, I want to have collaborations with different people who are in the YouTube space or TikTok space. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I have to reach out to the ladies at the Cringe Podcast because I want to definitely have them on and do some stuff with them. Great ladies, check them out. Cringeworthy Podcast. Let me just see if I can get there. Uh-oh. Totally messed it up. But yeah, guys, it should be a lot of fun. Last week I had Notes to Self. They were awesome. But I definitely want to try to get Notes to Self on. I want to do a collaboration with Reality TV Cringe, their podcast, Reality TV Cringe podcast. We already work with Reality Squad, but definitely want to get her on. I want to do some stuff with IQ. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying to roll that out and try to make that happen. So hopefully you guys will tune into that. It'll be amazing. Definitely got some stuff coming up this week. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. That way you'll get notified when I upload new videos, as well as when I go live. Guys, we're going to have some huge stuff coming up this year. We're definitely going to try to break it out and step it up as far as like getting things out to you guys, making things a little more encompassing. So it should be awesome. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys. That's my take. I'm James. This has been My Take on Reality, and I'm out.